And baby, I'm TFC till I die.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hello and welcome back to Toronto Till I Die, the Toronto FC fan show. I promise that is the last time you will ever hear me try to hold a tune on this show. It's Mike Newell, Jeffrey P. Nesker, Michael Singh. The boys are back in the saddle. Talk a little TFC. It's been a while, gents. How you doing? How's everything going?
Correction.
We've all been,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I've seen you do karaoke. You can sing. So that's BS saying that you can't, by the way.
Well, I said on this platform, I will not be carrying a tune going forward, but karaoke, man,
right.
I'm going to crush it.
What's your go-to song?
Ooh. What did I do at your house? I did America, didn't I, at your house?
I think you did. Horse with No Name, maybe.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I think I did Ventura Highway. But
like, you did Ventura.
Yeah, I did
there
Ventura
it
Highway.
is.
But like, I do a whole bunch of stuff. I do a very bad version of Killing Me Softly.
Nice.
Good song.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe George Michael, Faith is my go-to right now. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Mr. Singh, you got a karaoke favorite?
I'm a duet kind of guy.
Okay. What duet do you do then?
Brown Eyed Girl, or even throwing it, not really that far back, but like My Boo, Usher, Nowhere, Chris Brown.
Nice.
Oh.
Oh, actually, my new karaoke jam is Roadrunner by the Modern Lovers. I forgot about that. I'm really good at that tune, but that's besides the point.
George is jumping in the comments saying Goldfinger. Did I do Goldfinger at your house too? Yeah.
You might have done Goldfinger. George has the memory of 1,000. Like he's got a really good memory. So if he says Goldfinger, then
maybe I did do Goldfinger as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, you tuned into this podcast to listen to us talk about karaoke songs because we've been away forever, and the first thing we're doing is just talking about karaoke. But welcome back. We are going to talk about TFC. They've been busy over the last couple of weeks. Definitely the transfer market, more outgoings than incomings, but a few interesting incomings into this team, and a couple of, like considering the season, positive results in the last couple of weeks against top teams in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I wanted to get your guys' sort of perspective. It's been a few weeks since we've done the show, and I think, like, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like there's a little bit of a malaise out there in terms of the club, the fan base, how people are feeling, how people are vibing. I wanted to get from your guys' perspective before we jump right into like the transfer window, when we will do that. But I'm just trying to get an understanding for you guys, like, how are you kind of thinking, not just about the season in whole, but like your TFC fandom at the moment, right? Because it feels like it's a little different.
Yeah. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? We haven't done this in a bunch of weeks because we couldn't give an S, right? We finally reached critical mass for ourselves. And I mean, work aside, we're all crazy busy, which you love to see it. But even the sudden Canada Day dismissal of my favorite targets wasn't, I wasn't even here for that show where you guys got to dance on some graves. I think, speaking personally, I did not expect this kind of movement in this transfer window. I did not at all. I expected no moves, and the fact that we seem to be like starting the rebuild in earnest right now, and the fact that we are jettisoning players left, right, and center is really surprising to me. So personally, I feel an excitement. I mean, what did George say in our group text? Like, the excitement's back, right? Like, even if this might be an abysmal failure, I feel like we've come out from underneath the rock that we were sort of forced to hide under, and that rock's name was Lorenzo Insigne and his giant contract. So I feel like the club and all of us have been given a new lease on life.
Yeah,
Mike, how about you?
Yeah, no, it is exciting. I think you're starting to see the plan come into play. And I think it's a lot more clear now, the direction Toronto FC have chosen. We actually said it on the last show, like heading into this window, what we expected was that Toronto FC would actually be busy and that they would end up being sellers throughout this transfer window.
Yeah.
Especially after, you make the decisions to part ways with Lorenzo and Federico. It's clear that the way moving forward now is for this team to acquire as many assets as possible and to be able to just full on hit that reset button heading into 2026 and this offseason, which is going to be a really important year. So um yeah, overall, I mean, it's really exciting just finally see some fresh faces at BMO Phil. I feel like, even heading into the start of or this season, we were talking about how the club hadn't really made many changes, and it was a lot of the same players that were coming back. So it was tough to really shed that feeling of disappointment and frustration from the fan base. So to now see the club actually turn the page, to commit to doing that, to put dollars behind, acquiring their new DP, how can you not be excited as a Toronto FC fan? It finally feels like if it's not, a sunlight at the end of the tunnel, at least it's something new at the end of the tunnel, which we haven't been able to say as Toronto FC fans for quite a few years now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like there's sort of a pinprick of light at the end of a very, very long tunnel. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the inbounds that have come in. We'll talk a little bit about some of the outgoing in a second, but we kind of mentioned it before, but in a sort of a smaller way. But I actually want to talk a little bit about Malik Henry. I know he's like not like new, but new, in a sense that, again, this is a young player they've brought in from Montreal. He's a local Hamilton guy who has kind of come in, and he was the first one to sort of spark a little bit of life in this team. Now, obviously, the cross for that delicious DeAndre Kerr header for the tying goal in Philadelphia sort of put him a little bit more on the spotlight. But, I mean, if that's the kind of inbound signing, at least from a domestic perspective, that's going to be young, controllable asset with low on the salary cap hit, and you're going to get those kind of impacts, and sign me up for that, because I think that's the kind of impact you want to see from young players coming into the team.
Agreed. It reminded me, I'm going to say it reminded me of a certain Tyrese Spicer's debut. Remember how electric Tyrese was the first couple of minutes he was on? But yeah, no shade. I think he's as exciting as Tyrese was, and he's not demanding a raise yet. So I think he's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's 23 years old, so he comes in a little bit older than some of the younger kids, let's call it. So he's a little bit more MLS ready to make an impact. I think that's kind of what has been missed a little bit when TFC in the past have promoted some of their kids, have handed out first team contracts. They haven't been able to make that impact on the first team. It's very rare for them to be able to do that at such a young age. And part of that is because, yeah, they're so young, and MLS is a very physically demanding league. So it's that jump up from next pro to MLS is just that much higher. But credit to Malik, like from what I've seen, he plays fearless. Like he's willing to, run at defenders. He's very direct, and he does have a little bit of that skill to make a difference. So, I mean, when you're able to start your Toronto FC career like this, there's at least hope from a fan base's perspective that, he can go on and build off that momentum, that confidence, immediately gets shot right to his legs. And, that's where a career can really start to take off from a rookie standpoint. So it's always, in my opinion, really important for a rookie to come out and show that they can belong in this league so that they earn more minutes, because right now he's earned it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Michael, would you say that Malik, the former Montreal man, really made an impact at Toronto? Because you just did. Kid can dribble. He's got some great close control. It was fun to see, especially in the middle of the park, where we've usually been absolutely woefully inept for as long as I can remember. It was nice to see some excellent close control in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Next move coming in is the DP. You mentioned him a little bit earlier, but Georgie Mihailovic coming in from Colorado Rapids, a move I did not see coming. Colorado definitely did not see it coming. A big price tag to bring him in, $8 million, in a cash transfer, whatever they're calling this new mechanism in MLS. It's a
cash trade. Yeah, cash trade or whatever. Yeah, it's a transfer.
It's a transfer. Yeah. $8 million in transfer fee to bring in Georgie Mihailovic, who, look, I think originally the initial sticker shock was like, oh, $8 million, really? But now, the more you kind of sit back and look at it, like you can kind of understand it from both perspectives, right? In terms of Colorado's, like I'm going to get every dollar I can out of a player that we thought we were going to have under control for a while and be a cornerstone of our team. And from TFC's perspective, you know, if that's what it took to get him to come now instead of having to wait till the off season to get him, then okay, if Marshall's willing to give you that $8 million, use it and get a proven MLS asset. No, is that sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's worth $8 million. I think the sticker shock was one, it's $8 million in MLS. That's still a lot of money. And two, I thought the hangover would last longer. I did not expect this front office to start, you know, opening the wallet as quickly as they did, especially on the complete opposite of the Lorenzo move, right? Like, you know, the only thing that I think would be the commonality is overpaying, but, you know, instead of overpaying for proven European talent, we're overpaying for actual proven MLS talent, right? Like, I mean, I've tweeted this. There is no safer bet for chance creation in MLS than Georgie Mihailovic. So, considering that that's what we need desperately, I think it's a slam dunk. An absolute slam dunk. I mean, this idea that he wanted to come here, was desperate to come here. I don't put a lot of stock into it because my headphone just fell out. I don't put a lot of stock into it because, you know, that's what the lip service, that's what they're all going to say, right? Like, I didn't want to come here. Of course they're going to say that, but he's been a delight. I mean, we are instantly so much more dangerous on set pieces. We're so much more dangerous on corners. We're so much more dangerous coming up the flank. I mean, he's exactly as advertised so far. To the point that he's starting to show the weaknesses that we didn't know we had with players like the Ulas and the Theo. I mean, Theo's an unfair one because he's being playing totally out of position. But, you know, for so long with all of our strikers, going back to the Owosus, going back, et cetera, it was like, well, we don't really know what we have with these guys because they're getting no service from the DP whiners, right? Well, now that we've got Georgie, even though it's a small sample size, we are starting to see that maybe they're actually just not very good, you know? So he's been a revelation, really.
Yeah, I think timing is also really important for this move. Look, you hit on it, Jeff. The MLSE spent a boatload of money to buy out Insigne and Bernardeschi, right? Money that we didn't know they'd be willing to spend in the first place. So for them to do that move and then follow it up a month later and fork out an additional $8 million, I mean, how do you not get behind that as a Toronto FC fan, right? And who cares what the price tag is? It's 8 million, 7 million, 6 million. Who cares as a Toronto? That doesn't affect anything from a Toronto FC fan perspective. And that's MLSC forking up again and backing Jason Hernandez and backing this club and saying, you know what, we're behind you. You guys want this player. We'll put our dollars behind in getting this player. So who cares if they could have got him, in your opinion, for $2 million cheaper? It doesn't make a difference at all to Toronto FC's salary cap. So they go out, they get the player. The second thing I think it really signifies is also, that change in philosophy, right? They're now going to invest in a number 10 as their designated player. The first time they've invested in number 10 since Pozuelo, and we know how that went. And we look around the league, we talked about it too for lengths on this show, how the best teams in the league often have really good number 10s. And, Toronto FC have understood and have taken a page out of that book, and they're building around a guy in Georgie Mihailovic now. Now, my question is, I think Georgie's been class. I think he's been really good. Understanding where the league is heading and the direction it's heading, do we think that Georgie is good enough to be the go-to guy on a contending team?
But has he not already kind of been that? Like, with Montreal in the year,
it was the best season. Yeah, the best season they ever posted.
When you think about a Colorado team that, is it necessarily top of the league contender? No, but had a pretty good season last year.
Mm-hmm. And they were really sad to see him go too. So
I think he can be. No, I think he needs help. Like, obviously,
I think he needs help. I mean, do you think let's turn that question around. Do you think I don't even want to transplant it. Like, Paz in 2019 was good enough to win the league on his own.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: like, Alejandro Pozuelo almost single-handedly dragged Toronto FC to a cup final. It probably didn't really deserve to get to.
100%. What a great year that was. Yeah. But I'm just
pretty much them winning the Sports Shield if they didn't.
I mean,
last
you
time.
know, people are always going to kind of slag Georgie because of the 1 year that he spent at Akmar, you know, and for whatever reason it didn't work out, right? And so the Euro snobs are going to be like, well, this is a guy, you know, he's an MLS lifer, right? So he's not the same as the Sunnies and the Girouds, you know. But look at what Giroud did for LAFC. Like I love the man. I'm so glad we didn't sign him. You know, I look at his numbers, man. Like his goal contribution numbers are absolutely fantastic for this league. They're inarguable. So you surround him with players that he has chemistry with, and you know, let's book the parade. I don't mean to be that, you know, blustery, but you know, for MLS, he's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue. The numbers justify it. Yeah. Oh,
Are you not so sold on that, or?
well, I think it's TBD. Like I think he's a hell of a player, and he can be a star in Major League Soccer. You need
What is it with you? He's not vocal enough. He's not enough of a on-field leader.
No. Well, when he's been on teams in the past, and it's just more so his past clubs. You know, he is very much the go-to guy in those clubs.
Yeah.
You're able to produce as a go-to guy. You get all the credit in the world for that, but also there's levels to it. And I think the main point is, you know, on those Montreal teams, even on Colorado, I don't know if he was surrounded with enough support. So when I say like being the go-to guy, it can't just be Georgie and, you know, one other DP who's maybe worse than Georgie, right? It's got to be a lot more than Georgie Mihailovic to get
True.
this up. So when you say, and Jason Hernandez has said, building around Georgie Mihailovic, I don't know if that's the right way forward. Is just Georgie Mihailovic. Build the team. Georgie Mihailovic is a very important part of it.
I hear what you're saying, and I think that's
the
fair.
age is right. The profile is right. I mean, you do build. I have no argument with building a team around a 10. That's what I would do if I was the gaffer. So, I mean, the position is right. The age is right. The number, I mean, we don't know officially how much they're paying, but he's on a long-term deal, right? So, I think, you know, he allows us to spend heavy. Like now we can go and get a big name number 9, right, and blow the bank on that. I'm really excited by this move. I think it's something that I mean, I'm upset that we may be losing Davy Flores. In fact, I'm pretty sure we did, but you know, I think it's great. And it checks off so many boxes. It really, really does.
Yeah. And I think, you know, to your point, Mike, I think, you know, if you look at those, you know, that Montreal team that had a great year, you look at Colorado the last year and a bit. Okay, they've fallen a little bit off this season. But even then, he only had like another like Rafa Navarro like as a guy to kind of play off up top, right? And they still were able to put themselves in a playoff position last year. They're in sort of that realm for the last playoff spot this year. Now we'll see how they do after the move. But I think he's a player that you can build around in terms of, okay, this is the starting point. I think what Jason was talking about in the press conference was not necessarily that, okay, Georgie is like the guy. He's the starting point of what you're trying to now build in terms of high level talent on this team. And I think that's, I think that's what it is. I mean, we could talk about all the, you know, we'll talk about Jules-Anthony Vilsaint in a second and the move to bring him in, and that sort of tied to the GAM conversation I want to have. But, you know, the ball in from Georgie on Saturday to Jules-Anthony was just, we haven't had somebody who could do that. And I mean, do that not just like once in a while, but you know, he can do that almost every time.
Yeah. Every day of the week.
We just haven't had that in a long time. And when you saw that ball go in, it's like, this is exactly what this team has been crying out for. I think we've all been on this show multiple times through multiple game reviews and said, this team has no way to create a goal. If they go down 1-0, there's no chance. There's no one, unless, you know, literally we're looking for Federico Bernardeschi to beat, you know, 4 guys over 40 yards to try to maybe get a shot on goal on his left foot. Now you've got a guy who can open up players and make players around him better.
Yep.
That's the other part of this. That's the thing. He can make guys who look
Force multiplier. Yep.
better, right? Like he put DeAndre Kerr through a few times on Saturday, clear on goal, or close to clear on goal, where you're like, oh, okay, that's what a number 10 does. That's what a guy who can have that vision can do. And I think that's really where you start from in terms of the sort of that building piece going forward. And we talked a little bit about Jules-Anthony Vilsaint coming in from CF Montreal, an interesting trade for Matty Longstaff. Maybe not so much the player outgoing for Matty because he wasn't getting time and he wanted to play, so that makes sense in a way.
Hey, did he get any minutes for Montreal? I know he was on the bench.
I think he started. Did he not start this on the weekend?
Did he start? I thought he was on the bench.
He might have
started for Montreal. Okay, I mean, I was just wondering if he got minutes because
I think he did get minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
I spoke to someone who went to the game in Montreal, and they liked what they saw from Matty Longstaff for whatever it's worth. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And look, he's not a bad player. It's not at all. It's just I think he's just not where this team is looking to go, right? And if he's not going to be in the plans forward, you might as well try to get something. And he
was the odd man out.
Yeah. And you're getting a young striker who needs minutes and needs an opportunity to continue.
He needs 1 minute. That's all he needs. 1 minute. He only needs 1 minute.
He needs 1 minute and a ball from Georgie Mihailovic. And then, but the more interesting part about that deal was the 225 in GAM, which basically, and there's other like performance that I think can bring it up to 250. Yeah, interesting deal from that perspective. But I'm just wondering, from a Jules-Anthony Vilsaint perspective for TFC, I mean, it's a young striker who can probably provide you with some valuable minutes going forward. Whether he turns out to be anything, we're not sure yet. But on the evidence of 25 minutes, I think on Saturday, so far so good.
Best press conference ever, man. His press conference was so fantastic. He's like, and nobody booed me, and this is amazing. Nobody hates me, even though I come from Montreal. Like the entirety of his press conference was like, I'm so surprised that you guys actually like me. Yeah, he's an exciting player. He's a big boy. He looked like he was like 7'3" out there when he subbed.
Well, I thought when he first came on for Montreal 2 seasons ago, I thought he was going to be one of those guys who just like an MLS striker who's just going to really get going and then get a quick move out of the league. Like
he looks like a monster out there. Like and his movement's really right. After watching Ula run around like a newborn blind deer for however many minutes at the weekend, it was so refreshing to see somebody make runs, try and get in behind, like doing all of that work. I didn't see Ula's work rate. I know you love Ula's work rate. I did not see it at the weekend. I thought it might have been his worst game in a TFC shirt.
Mike, go for it.
I think it's a little hard, but he's playing out of position too.
Too.
Like, I don't know. Like Ula, obviously he hasn't done enough to warrant a DP contract, and it sucks because I think there is a ton of potential there, but there's no way you can move forward with a guy who just hasn't been able to figure it out. We blamed the slow start to injuries, you blame the slow start to whatever else, but you only have so long to show yourself.
Results-based business.
So many times where you go to a new club and the first season is tough, and then you kind of rebound the second season. Ula isn't likely going to have that opportunity, especially when there's kind of DP ties to him if they were to make that move permanent. So, anyways, back to Vilsaint. Look, I liked him too, Mike, when he came on. I think it was 2 years ago against Toronto FC in the league, and he was a complete nuisance for Montreal the entire game. Big frame, good skill with his feet. Like I said, he was just a problem for Toronto FC's back line to handle. And I was actually really surprised over this next, 2 years why he hadn't been able to emerge as, their clear cut number 9. Now, again, I spoke to some people from Montreal, and their big thing was, he did battle some injuries, but too, like he would have a game like this where he makes an impact. Again, I use the word impact, but I
love it.
Makes that impact, but then he disappears for like 3-4 games and then drops out of the lineup because there's more competition there. So something to watch. I mean, regardless, look, the $275K in general allocation money for Matty Longstaff, like I'd probably take that alone, right?
Yeah.
And you get Vilsaint for a flyer. He's gonna not come in expensive at all. He's a guy who has shown potential. And really, when you look at the depth chart, he slots in like right alongside DeAndre Kerr, just slightly behind DeAndre Kerr. So
Yeah, similar players in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big step up from Charlie Sharp, right?
Yeah.
So there's no longer that gap.
Poor Charlie Sharp, man. Just murders it in MLS Next Pro, cannot catch a break with the first team, and is now like basically a trivia question. Yeah,
now he's.
I think Charlie Sharp still has a potential to be a player. But anyways, yeah, Vilsaint, like he is, he's a guy who, like I said, he has potential. They take a flyer on, and let's see what happens. But you still get the $225K from the Matty Longstaff deal, which is very nice. I think it tidied a bit of business for Jason Hernandez. Probably my second favorite deal this summer behind Georgie.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you sort of look at some of the outbounds that are going out. Like obviously, you talk about Tyrese Spicer heading out to Orlando. Look, it seems like a move that was made for a guy who was like looking for a lot of money on his next contract, and TFC.
You could almost hear the venom coming out of Jason's interviews afterwards. Like it sounds like he actually like picked a blood feud with Jason Hernandez, and you don't do that with your GM. So bye, enjoy the hot, humid Orlando. You get to play in purple like Barney the dinosaur.
Hey, he scored 2 minutes into his like second appearance for Orlando. I mean, he's no Vilsaint. He's no Malik Henry. But you get more GAM out of that. Yep. You make a couple of moves for GAM with international roster spots to get more GAM. And you move on some players. You loan Charlie Sharp out. It's I'm interested in sort of this GAM building, GAM TAM, because you basically walked into this transfer window with no general.
I know, and now we're at like $1 million too. Like like let Jason cook, man.
Team. Yeah,
and let's be honest. I don't think. This idea that Davy Flores negotiated his own transfer to Saudi Arabia. I mean, as much as I love him and as much as I'm going to miss the ball destroying 6, because goddamn, aside from a silky 10, do I ever love a black hole 6? And he is terrific at it. I think Jason and the front office have had enough with the BS, overpaying for Flotsam. Maybe to a fault, but they are brutal in a way that we've been asking for a long time. So I love it. I love it. Clean out all of the people that are asking for too much. Clean out the people that want loyalty points. Clean out the people that are here for an easy ride. There is no free rides with this club anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just clean out whoever you can get any kind of currency for, realistically. Yep. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of expiring contracts on this team, and turn that into future assets, because we know that the future is kind of what this team is building towards. So yeah,
exactly.
Tyrese, that was it was surprising. I think first off, he still had 2 option years left on his contract. It wasn't like they were completely hamstrung. But again, if Jason Hernandez doesn't like the way that you're handling a negotiation, doesn't feel that you're I guess handling it with good ethics or class, whatever word you want to use there. And he stood on this, and credit to him, man. It sends a message, I think, throughout the dressing room, throughout the league, that, this is a Toronto FC team that's not going to get bullied anymore. And he turned that into, again, a decent amount of allocation money that they can use for the future. So it's never a bad thing when you turn a first overall pick or even an MLS draft pick into $500K in allocation money. That's not a bad return.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we've mentioned a little bit, but the pending, it seems, outgoing of Davy Flores from Toronto FC. He was not in the 18 on Saturday with the Honduran national team manager, saying basically he's negotiating his way to a Saudi Arabian club. Yeah, bizarre. Yeah. I mean, bizarre, but not.
Hey, let's get that bag, man. Let's get that Saudi bag for Davy Flores, and then
it's interesting to see what that fee is going to look like, or if they've agreed personal terms and now they're coming to TFC with the fee.
Listen, if he's willing to do an end run over the front office, he's damaged goods, and I don't want him. I don't need that attitude on this team. I don't. I don't care.
Like I don't.
I mean,
don't
we
know.
just we anybody that was in the locker while we were paying Lorenzo to be a paperweight probably has a misguided idea of what the front office is willing to give, and they need to be hard and firm with those players. And I love that they're doing it with them.
Yeah.
There are no free rides.
Who knows what the reasoning is for David explaining the moves? I read somewhere he had the same agent as Romel Kyoto, and Romel
Who got a huge bag for going to the same team. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and his agent's apparently negotiating. Who knows what's actually transpiring there? Regardless, yeah, I agree. Like, great player for Toronto FC. I think a popular player for Toronto FC because you could see he left it all out on the pitch. He checked the boxes when it came to, a guy who would run through a wall for the club. So I don't really have any bad things to say about him as a player, and I actually think he will be missed because
they don't grow on trees. Sixes like that don't grow on trees, man. I agree.
Yeah, and there's no one on the club right now who has that profile, right? So it's definitely a profile they're gonna have to, sort of replace. That being said, look, again, let's jump back on this train where they can kind of retool and rebuild. And yes, you mentioned the Lorenzo era and having debut there. I think there is some truth to that, Jeff, in that players who were part of that era. I don't know how keen Toronto FC are going to be to include a lot of players that were part of.
I agree.
Completely wipe slate there, and
I think Oso may be on the chopping block there.
Ooh, okay. So
that might be
so I was gonna come to that. You got there a little quicker than I thought, but it's okay. Let's get there. There's a lot of conjecture out there from the TFC fan base about Jonathan Osorio and to a certain extent Richie Laryea as well. Maybe to a lesser extent, but it's out there that hey, maybe these guys, we love them. And they're obviously national team players that have done great things for this club in the past. But is it time to kind of learn our lessons from the Josie, Michael Bradley era and hanging on a little too long and moving these guys on? I'm not sure I'm fully in that camp yet, but I'm open to the opinions around that because I know some people have some very strong opinions about it. But
yeah.
Interesting, Jeff. You go ahead because you.
I mean, I tweeted something that certainly got some action, and it was that I think Richie needs to find his form, but I also think he's playing to avoid injury, and that's why he seems to be at 70% all the time. I don't know if that's become a habit, but I still think Richie Laryea at 70% has a space on TFC. My opinion of Oso is different. I think we Dunfielded Oso. And I felt like this while it was happening, but I didn't want to say anything. I think giving him the armband and making him carry water for the legend TFC while everything else was on fire has maybe cost him his soul. And I don't know if he can bounce. I'd like to think he can bounce back because Ozo's at his best when he doesn't have the weight of the world on his shoulders and he can be Oso. He can play in the pocket. Right? That's where he excels. So I do, maybe he's not going to play like he did in 2018 because hell, there's a lot more mileage on those legs. I don't know if the captaincy is in his future. I think he was a stopgap captain and I hate that. And I don't think a regular starter is in his future anymore. I think both the club and the player need to be aware of the passage of time. And I think they need to adopt a wait-and-see approach. I don't know if Oso wants to be here anymore. I don't know if he's enjoying his football anymore because so much of it has been sort of trying to keep his arms around, trying to polish deck chairs on the Titanic, basically. And I think more than anybody else on TFC, he needs a summer vacation, desperately. He needs to put some distance from this era.
Yeah, probably a bit harsher than I'd go. I think so. First of all, I think it is important to still have guys like Oso and Richie around, just 100% from a cultural standpoint. But you don't just pay someone for culture, right?
Yeah, there it is.
But it is important that those guys, especially Oso, who's been here since 2013, 2014, who's lived through some of the best days the club's had, who's lived through some of the worst days the club's had. I think there's a super important place for Jonathan Osorio on this team. You hear it in Georgie's first press conference, right away he's praising Ozo and
Yeah.
shouting out Ozo, right? If Georgie Mihailovic comes to Toronto, so there's not really anyone to. I mean, and Ozo's not there. Like, who's he kind of learning that from or praising? And maybe he doesn't need to, but I think there still is an important role from that aspect. But also, like from a football perspective, I mean, we really haven't given him a chance to play, like you said, to play the Ozo that he should be. Right? He's
Yeah.
been put into these roles where they've been asking more out of him because of the players that were around him. And in a way, it's been a little bit unfair from that perspective. But
Absolutely.
I think when you take some of that pressure on, I think we've even started to see it a little bit since Georgie's come in. You take some of that pressure off of Ozo and let him play the game that he can play. I think absolutely he can be an effective player.
He was immense for the last little bit of the game at the weekend. People, like, did you see the whistles he was getting? Did you see the way he was setting the tempo of the game? He was immense. People just want to slag on him, but he still puts in great performances often.
Yeah, like he does have that Michael Bradley to him too, where like, man, he's so selfless for the club. Like
I think he's way more hot-headed than Bradley was. I think on the field he's way more emotional than the philosopher of football was.
Sure, like different players, absolutely. They're not. He's not Michael Bradley, but he does have that understanding of team first, right? And I think that's something he's grown into a lot. Like I think Jonathan Osorio, from where he is today versus where he was even like 5 years ago, is a completely different person, let alone player. So, I mean, look, put the player, like I think both from a off-field standpoint and on-field, sure, super important, but also like as a player, I still think he's a quality player that can be a role player.
Yeah,
100%.
Andre's quote here is perfect. Reminds me of MB4 getting shit on every game, then we're worse when he's not on the pitch. I mean, it really does. It really does. Like it feels like the same old tune.
Yeah, no, I think for both players, I don't think you can get rid of them right now. Like, especially in this critical time when you're trying to change over the team in quite a big way.
And that's my fear, because what you just said, change over the team, and yet whenever anybody mentions keeping Richie and Oso around, it's because of the link to the past, right? And that is a dichotomy I don't like.
They're also really good players.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that has to be first,
players.
right?
That's what I'm talking about. But I'm more talking about the fact that they're fantastic players. But in the end of the day, yes, you do want to keep some of that more from a Toronto perspective than linking to an Insigne, Bernardeschi locker room kind of thing, right?
I'm more thinking linking to like the glory days of 2017 to 2019, which the league has changed so much. It's like it would be like chasing your own shadow.
But you still need guys who know how to win, right? They still know how to win games.
That's fair,
right?
That's fair,
yeah, right? Like
100%.
They did it,
like
from that perspective.
You're right.
And you talk about somebody like a Richie Laryea, like you know, how versatile has he been in the games he's been able to play, right? Like, yes, of course, health is a question, right, in terms of fitness, but when he's fit, he can play right back for you. You can put him in the midfield and he can still be effective, right?
Yep.
So that ability to have somebody who can be, and in a way, similar to what you were talking about, Michael, with Oso, and being a guy who's willing to do whatever it needs for the club, that's a guy who is willing to play wherever needs to.
Put him at center back. He'll do a
job.
job.
Me at center back, great. You want to put me as a winger? Great, I'll do it, right?
I mean, beyond that, if we lose Davey, like he's maybe the first in line for that ball-destroying six, right?
But, okay, I'm confused. Like, Ozo, I can understand. Ozo's form has been very inconsistent up and down. I've been harsh on him on this show for sure in the past. I don't get the Richie stuff. Like, how is this even a conversation?
I'm not sure about the Richie. I think mainly down to the fact that, he's making
one goal contribution this year, like one assist even. Does he even have an assist?
Has he won penalties? Like, is he still...
not to the level, not to the Richie baseline? I think he's won 2 penalties, if that.
But sure, like it doesn't matter. Like, I don't look at Richie Laryea as a goal contributor necessarily. Like, he's a guy who wins the battles at his position. He's a guy who drives play. He's a versatile player. Like, he's a guy who, like, in that Davey Flores-esque, like, sets the tone for the team mentality.
Sure.
Like, he's one of the best right backs in the league. Like, I don't understand how it's even a thought.
I think people are underwhelmed because they miss the Richie that, like, did those crazy runs into the box and, created opportunities all the time, and they just don't see it from Richie this season.
Well, yeah, when you don't have the players around you to really do that, it gets hard.
Again,
right?
I don't disagree, and unfortunately that preface has been lost, right? Like they're judging him without the context, right? And so that's why I think I also get a little bit prickly about it.
Has he had a great season? No, but is he still one of the best players? One of the team's best players by far? Is he still one of the best right backs and fullbacks in MLS by far? So like I don't understand how it's
you have to give those two an opportunity to be part of this rebuild. You do. I 100% agree.
Yeah, I think both have, and I think that I can understand, again, like you said, the conversation around Oso a little bit more. Around Richie, it's like it's a no-brainer. This is a guy that you build around, and you try to build a team that can function or he can function in terms of what you're trying to build around them, for sure. And I think even for Oso, to a certain extent, exactly. If you take that pressure off him, and Mike, you and I
let him be Oso,
the episode before the last one talked about this a bit, right? When he can be sort of a box-to-box 8, simply move the ball, shuttle the ball forward if he needs to be. Maybe not so much a box to box anymore with the legs, but
get
into
find
the box
his spaces. Exactly.
Slot goals in like that. That's the best Oso we always see. We see it for Canada all the time when he plays for the national team, right? Little less expectation. Go there, do the best thing that you do on the pitch, and get results. And that's the Oso I think we need to see. And now that comes to, again, all this GAM we've accumulated over this window. We still have a few days left in this window. We're talking about Davey going out. I expect at least another outgoing player.
In addition to Davey?
Yeah. I don't know who exactly it would be. I mean, look, I don't think it will happen. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody comes out for Sean Johnson.
In this window.
Like, hey, maybe, right? And says like, hey, we're a team maybe in a playoff push. We need a veteran goalkeeper. How much are you willing to take him off? Take him off your hands, right?
It would. I mean, I can see it. Considering that I didn't expect any moves to happen, I agree. Yeah, but that would suck because Sean Johnson's been immense for us this year.
Either that or like a Derek Etienne, right? Somebody just says like, "Hey, I'll give you a couple 100,000."
Isn't like half of his salary being paid for by like
not anymore.
So we're on the hook for him. I don't see. I don't see much.
But he's done at the end. I think is his contract done at the end of the year?
It's done.
But again, an expiring deal for a team to pick him up, it wouldn't be that much.
It would surprise me. But again, Jason Hernandez, same guy who managed to find some deals for Iowa Akinola. So
that was. I mean, and then people are slagging him. I mean, like even these loan moves, like some of them didn't work out. Like I don't think Ula is long for this world. I also haven't seen enough out of Maxime Dominguez to warrant a return next year. Those are the two off the top of my head. But the fact that he was able to do that while buried under the weight of those albatross contracts, I mean, let's go, Jason. Let's go. And then just to see what's happening now that they're free of that dead weight, just how quickly they were able to mobilize and how they've put us in a really good position for next year. Let's be honest, this season is over. There's 8 games left. Like what? 3 of them are at home, 5 of them are away. Like we ain't making the playoffs. It's not happening. So I think, will we get more for Sean in the window or in the off season?
Who knows? I mean, a lot of people give up more in the window because if they give up 2025 GAM, you're not giving up as much future assets away as if
right
2026, for example. But yeah, I mean, look, there's only a handful of players that they have that they could move. Still, like a Sean Johnson, a Kevin Long, Sigurd Rosted, if he's got enough equity or bought enough equity off that guy.
No one's gonna swoop
Raul
for Sigurd at his rate. Raul's not long for MLS.
Yeah, like very few people I think that they can ship off. So who knows? I think again, if I'm Jason Hernandez, I'm trying to call everybody and offer up everybody that you can.
Yeah,
I think. Again, just basing off that point, Jeff, building off that point that you had was there ever since, even when I was covering Toronto FC, The conversation has always been around what really since the Greg Vanney era ended. The conversation has always been, oh, I can't do this because the last person who was in charge did X, Y, and Z, and I'm stuck, and we don't have as much money, and my job here is to build, a team based on given what I've got. I've got to undo some of the past mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. We're now at the point where those mistakes are undone. And the first time in really about 4 years, 5 years, where Toronto FC can actually say that. So, look, Jason Hernandez has really, for the first time, a clean slate to work with. He's got a lot of assets to work with. Now it's the real test for Jason Hernandez.
Yep. Right? Absolutely.
Can you get people to buy into the vision now?
Yeah, exactly. There's not more undoing some of the stuff from the past. This is now about building and being in that space. And look, what this luxury also is where this team currently is. It's not like they need to target just a position. Go out and get players that can elevate the quality of this team. I don't care if they're a midfielder. I don't care if they're a winger. I don't care if they're a striker. I don't care if they're a center back. I don't care if they're a goalkeeper. Like at this point, just go out and get players who raise the profile of this club that can contribute in a meaningful way to this club. And you have a ton of resources to do it. And the good news is they can cast their net very wide. There's a lot of options out there, in not only MLS, the world too. And you have more backing than probably most clubs do to do that. So it's actually a really good position to be in.
Yeah. I wonder what you guys think. Do you think, I mean, and look, maybe it's already been proven by the fact that, ownership was willing to dump $8 million out the door for Georgie Mihailovic, but do you think, in the offseason, the club will once again spend big on another DP? I mean, I don't know if they'll do the 3 DP track or if they'll go 2 in the U22 initiatives. I mean, they're on that track at the moment, but for 26, I don't know. But do you think the club will again sort of maybe a little bit smartly, but splash big again on another DP?
Absolutely. So that was my question off the bat when I brought up the Georgie Mihailovic thing. That was my thing, right? Is if you're putting all your resources to Georgie Mihailovic as the best player on this club, is he good enough to be the best player on this club? Right? No,
I think you're still going to go out and get somebody.
You have to go out and get somebody, but does he have to be like a better than Mihailovic? Can he be, a player that's...
Well, I like in my opinion, personally, I think you spend it on that 9. I think there's enough evidence in MLS right now that if you go out and spend money on a 9, again, whether you go out and get somebody who's super famous, right, like super infamous around the world, or you get somebody who is going to cost you a bit of money, but like is solid, a very, very solid profile. I think of like a Chicho Arango. I think of maybe not the personality, but the goal scoring feats. You get somebody who can literally win you matches with their goals. And I think at this point, like you go out and you go get that person wherever they are, whether they're in MLS. I don't think there's somebody right now in MLS. Well, I mean, unless you maybe go after Chicho Arango, I don't think San Jose would give him up, but, go get somebody who can go and put goals in the back of the net, and you have somebody like Georgie Mihailovic, you can set them up. Then you're cooking. Right, then you can really start thinking about, okay, how do we build the backbone of the midfield? How do we go about? I think you've got some pieces in at center back with Zaymon Louis. Again, I'm not saying
the injured,
but
injured core. Absolutely,
you're going to have some good young depth pieces there, but you can find some guys who could really be dogs for you, like real starters for you in MLS. And look, if somebody like Sigurd Rosted said, "Hey, I want to come back," or Kevin Long, probably more likely Kevin Long, would come back for another year on a lower number.
Do we want to see him self-combust on the field? Like, are we that kind of masochist? He's
look, if he's not going to be your everyday guy, right? Like, I don't know if you at what would he be 35 next year, 36 next season?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Like if he's not your everyday guy, but he's coming in to spot start and he's coming in to give you solid minutes off the bench. I don't think that's something I would be upset about.
Personally, if I'm Jason, I go to Georgie and I say, "Hey, what number 9 center forwards have you seen in MLS that you think you might have some chemistry with?" And then you approach them first. I think you look in MLS, and if you need to pay $8 million for another MLS player, I think you do it. I don't want the Olivier Giroux. I don't care. I want a team of if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. Let's build an MLS squad, right? So
I think that's a dangerous game. Like, I don't think you got to be married. I don't think you got to be married to one or the other. Like, they made the mistake of being married to getting big name stars, right? Could it also be a mistake to marrying to MLS lifers? Right? I think honestly, just go get the best player for the club, regardless of if they have a big name. If not, like
Georgie gives us that privilege, I think, because his numbers for chance creation are just so unbelievable. I think he gives us that privilege. So you're right. But it's just I'm so sick of the Ulas, and I'm so sick of the Terrence Boyds.
Well, I'm not talking about going after like the levels of Ula, and I'm not talking about that level. I'm talking about you're going out and getting guys who are just proven. You know what I mean? Good age profile, have the right sort of the metrics that tell you that player, no matter where they go, whether they stay, say, most likely
I would have bet heavy that Olivier Giroux would have tore up MLS, and he was a disaster.
But LAFC didn't need him. Like, they signed him, but they didn't need him. Like,
I guess. Like, I guess.
Need him. Like, you know what I mean? It was just one of those things where you could flex and get a guy, but you actually
he didn't get the amount of minutes that I think he needed to really come to get into a good run of form. So I think there is some validity there. But like, I just don't. I think it's fair to say that if the splash cat DP number 9 really has to work out, or Jason's not long for his job, and so I do think that
for sure.
I do think that it has to be. Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. And even though, like, on paper, that's a wonderful move. You got him on a loan, a sort of test the player out. He's a warm body. It didn't quite work out for various reasons. But, yeah, like,
he's still the guy that they hope would be the DP, right?
So
you can say that Jason got that wrong.
I would say that's still a little bit of bargain bin hunting in a way, right, for a striker.
For sure. It was.
For sure.
And I don't think you're in that position this off season. Like, I think you can go a little bit bigger,
I hope not.
Right? I'm not saying you got to go out and get the
avoid Syria. Yeah, I avoid Syria like the plague. No Syria.
Sure. Yeah. But like I don't think I think you can go a little more big game hunting in terms of your 9. And look, if you do find someone in MLS that becomes available that is a 9
it's Kai Camera time. We're finally getting our Kai Camera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Grab a less risky. Maybe in a way, but I actually think sometimes, depending on obviously the profile of the striker, it could be more risky because MLS internal money can sometimes cost you as much, if not more, than going out externally, right? Yeah, so a lot to parse for Toronto FC in the next couple of weeks as they start to, we're in the rebuild now. We're really in it.
Yeah, we are in it. We are
games
in
left.
It.
We are in it.
I have a question for you guys, and it came from Axis like hours ago. And it is, do we really want to see Mihailovic on the wing, or is he better used in the center of the pitch? I would expand this question to my frustration at like our staunch refusal to play Theo Corbiano in his right-sided winger performance. Do you think it's because Robin Fraser knows that we ain't making the playoffs, so the experimentation is now, and that's why it looks like he's galaxy braining stuff? Playing people out of position, whatever the hell the formation that we started. Was it the last game or the game where we got spanked and then went back to it? The game where we started in a 3-5-2, like right out of 2017. Would you say that it's because now is the time for him to do all this chopping and changing and galaxy braining because he won't get that opportunity when he's on the clock for 2026?
I think he's trying to set his team up the best way possible to win. To be honest with you. Because, like, if you see that 3-5-2 position,
it befuddled teams in 2017. I mean, it was one of the reasons that we.
But like, he adjusted very quickly from that formation, right? Oof. So, I mean, if he was really trying to experiment, really trying to try new things, he would probably stick to that a little bit longer. I think it's more so he's honestly trying to give his team, has a new player in Georgie, trying to find out what's the best way to use him in this current setup. Because look, whatever's the way that they're using Georgie today is probably not going to be the way they use him next season.
Right.
Because there's going to be other players around Toronto FC. And look, to answer this question, through the middle on the wing, it doesn't matter. Like, Georgie
be free.
So why is Theo once again, like, Berna's not on the team anymore? Why is he not playing on his preferred right side anymore?
I mean that would be a good question to ask Robin Fraser. I don't know the answer to that question. I still think that they want to see what they can get out of Ula. Like I still think there's hope there, and I think there's a lot.
That ship has Sula'd. That ship has sailed Ula. I mean, there's 8 games left. What
If you're just out of curiosity, if you were to strip the price tag away from Ula, and he was, on the same salary as, God, I don't know, Alonso Coelho, let's say.
he scored 2 goals for us in how many minutes of play?
Would you still want?
No.
Yeah, I'm still on no.
That's crazy.
I actually agree with you in terms of what I see out of Ula. Like, I think he actually has really good hold up play. I think he can.
Cool. He can be a defensive midfielder for someone else.
No, but he could hold up play. I think he makes good runs. It just hasn't, for whatever reason. And I really don't have a good answer. Maybe you guys do. I don't have a really good answer as to why it hasn't really worked. Because
injuries, the fact that wingers didn't play with him, and I don't know.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the wingers tried to give him service. I don't think it was good service, but I think they tried. I think it's just in the end of the day, I'm confused as to why, because he has the movement, the type of things he does on the pitch in MLS should work. It should work.
He gets muscled off the ball far too often in the box. I don't think he's athletic enough for MLS defenders that go looking for your ankles and usually find them.
I don't know. Like, I think
that's what's so frustrating about him. I agree. Like he looks like a player. It's the same thing that I saw from Theo before he played for us. Like everything's there. It's just not connecting. You know what I mean? Like that's why he's such a frustrating watch for me, at least.
Yeah. I mean, look, my whole thing is, I think it's definitely a huge confidence issue with Ula. Like when you get such a rough start and that there's noise around you, that people are talking about you, and it just keeps building and building and building. And then you try to have this fresh start with Georgie, and the first game doesn't go exactly how you would want it, even though he did probably look a lot better in his first game with Georgie than he did for really the majority of the season. It's like tough to dig yourself out of that hole.
He's got 1.6 million reasons to try.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure. But like, again, we'll never find out. But if you were to be able to afford him as a backup striker, I think you take that 10 times out of 10. Because
I think we, no free rides. I haven't seen enough to have the patience for him to work it out. As brutal as that sounds.
That's fine. Yeah. And I don't think you're alone in that at all.
Yeah. No. I mean, a lot of people are simping for Maxime. A lot of people are saying, I totally disagree with you, Jeff. Maxime Dominguez is the best thing since sliced bread. I haven't seen it yet. But I mean, that's the beauty of opinions. We all have one. They're like assholes, right? Yeah. Everybody's got one.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see like what sort of goes on in the next couple of weeks. I think these next 8 games are going to be interesting, more just for
they're going to be super chaotic.
Who's gonna play and who's gonna get minutes, and who are they kind of in a way auditioning. There's some guys auditioning for
and
jobs
listen,
right now.
I'm not mad at them for putting Ula out there to try desperately for these last 8 games to see if there's any chemistry. I think that's you got to do it. You have to honor that. But I don't think that we're going to see anything that changes anybody's mind. Yeah.
I mean, to me, everybody knows I'm a DeAndre stan, but that's the reality of things, right? That's just it. So
he's a dangerous player in the air, man. I love how he attacks headers. Like there's some venom on the headed goals that he scored.
Yeah, he's getting better. Yeah. His movement in the box is getting a lot better. He's still got he's got a lot of things to clean up. Don't get me wrong. A lot of things to get better at, but that movement in the box and that timing is getting a lot better with DeAndre Kerr. But we could keep going on. I think we'll stop there. Are we going to
Richard, we never went away, buddy. Like we took a break because the team destroyed us and we needed to make money, but now we're back.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody who's stuck with us and is obviously watching the show right now. A lot of people are watching, considering we.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see my boys, and it's good to see the chat, man. This feels it's like riding a bicycle, eh?
Yeah, getting back on the saddle again. It's been really good. And hey, you know what? In a couple of weeks, we got a derby to talk about, which will be super interesting because it's
$3 hot dogs.
$2 derby.
$3 hot dogs and free hats at the They're taking a page out of your page, but there's the MLS surcharge. Yeah, it's $3 hot dog night. For the derby.
On Tuesday. I lied. I had my first loony dog on Tuesday.
You know how much I love loony dogs, Mikey. I ask you every year. You know how much I love them, and then I suffer for a whole week. That's the worst indigestion you've ever had in your entire life. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Okay. All right, you don't want to listen to our gastrointestinal issues. Hopefully we're back next week. I don't know, Jen. Are we back next week? Can we decide?
I'm gonna try. I'm a lot less busy, so we got to get back on the horse. And it looked like we were missed. So yeah, let's make a point.
And I don't think I have to work the Twins game, so I should be okay. All right, awesome. Sweet. So let's just say we'll see you all next week. Thanks again for tuning in. We really appreciate all the love and support you've given us over the last couple of weeks as we've been off and sort of begging for the show to come back. We're happy to do it and bring it back, even though this team is still a tire fire, but at least we're a tire fire.
It's a tire fire with a 10 now.
Yeah, we're a tire fire with a 10 and some MLS funny money in our pockets. All right, for Jeffrey P. Nesker, for Michael Singh, I'm Michael Newell. We'll see you next week. We promise. Peace.
Cheers, guys.
And wait, and baby, I'm TFC till I die.